My goodness, sorry to keep you waiting, everybody. We're running a little late here.
Yeah.
How's it going? We are live. Your Ben Jarofsky show. Oh, what a week it was. CTU versus CPS round 2 or 3 or what round? We're not sure, but we may find out at the end of this program. It's just moments away. But before we do that, we need to thank our sponsors. Sponsors like SEIU Healthcare, Illinois, Indiana. The Chicago Federation of Labor are sponsors, as well as Chicago Reader. ChicagoReader.com for all things there is to know about the city of Chicago. Where to go, what to do. Is a certain thing you like open during a pandemic? You'll find out. ChicagoReader.com. If you're a clueless Chicagoan, get a clue, subscribe, and ChicagoReader.com/Jarofsky for an endless, and I mean endless, list of Ben Jarofsky shows. We're damn near to 1,000 episodes. And to become a Ben head, go to ChicagoReader.com/Jarofsky. J-O-R-A-V as in victory, S-K-Y. It's a 3-tier system. When you become a Ben head, you can either be in the alley, the avenue, or you'll be living large on Benny Boulevard. Find out more information, ChicagoReader.com/Jarofsky. Also, you will get a deal on the latest book. Boy, you have been a busy, busy man in that attic, Ben.
That's the typewriter. Even though I don't have a typewriter. That's the carriage going back.
He has a book. Will those noises be featured in that book? I don't know if you can spell that, really, what he just did, but it may be. I don't know. You're going to have to find out for yourself. It's his greatest hits, covering 40 years of Chicago journalism. It's his greatest hits. If you become a Ben head, you will get a deal on that book. For more information, ChicagoReader.com/Jarofsky. J-O-R-A-V as in victory, S-K-Y. Okay. Ben, you have a song of the week. We do song of the week now.
Ooh.
We used to do song of the day. Now, song of the week. All right. It comes from Frank. Oh, I have a feeling you're going to love this song. It's from the OJs, Love Train.
Love train, get on board. Oh, love train. Come on, people from and some other country, Israel and Egypt and Africa. And
Boy, it seems like the only words you know of this song are Love Train.
Unfortunately, that is true for many, many songs. I just know like 3 words, and I just keep repeating them until I go crazy.
People of the world, join hands, start a love train, right? Isn't that it?
Look, wait. Just let's stop things for a moment. How did you know that? You're a child of the 80s.
Yeah, it was
the
on
90s.
It was on a Burger King commercial. The Ben Jarofsky Show starts now. It is Friday, April 9th, and this is the Ben Jarofsky Show's Oh, What a Week It Was. The CTU versus CPS, round 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, we don't know. Yes, Brianna on the live stream chat, that song of the week was awful. And now your host, Chicago Reader columnist Ben Jarofsky.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Ben Jarofsky here. We're calling this Ben Can't Sing Friday. And here's why. Because Ben can't sing. Okay, Brianna, I'm with you 100%. I can't sing. And I do only know like 3 lyrics in Love Train. But before we get to the week's news, and it's just been piling up in my mind, all the news that's just been accumulating in the local news, but it's so obsessed with national news. Just got off the phone, did a great interview, if I may promote it, D, with David Ferris. He was just riffing. And we're dropping that tomorrow, a weekend bonus. David Ferris talking about all kinds of things, national, Georgia's new election law, filibuster, the insane Republicans in Congress. So I've had a lot of national news on my mind, but the local news has been piling up, and Dennis and I are going to get to it. But I'm going to go really, really, really local before I turn things over to the doctor and talk about something very local to the Ben Jarofsky Show. I have a new microphone.
You hear that, guys? You hear it? Can you tell?
It's a contribution to the reader from Schurz. I think all the podcast hosts got them, right? Dee, did you get one?
No, I don't need it. I have all the equipment and all that stuff. So,
but this is super cool. It took a while for the crack production team at the Ben Joravsky podcasting empire to assemble it. In other words, my wife, she's a genius, Dee. She's unbelievable.
Oh, it took a while to assemble it, and it also took a while to open it out of the box. You're sitting there like for weeks, like, dude, come on, it's gonna sound way better. Get the damn microphone.
Oh my God. It's not it's just the COVID, folks. Just ignore it. It's just the COVID. Anyway, what an incredible microphone. It sounds so wonderful. And I'm going to really try hard, Dee, to push the mute button because, like, for instance, whenever I take a drink of water now, it really sounds loud.
Oh, for people who didn't notice it, now they're really going to notice it. Good job, Ben. Good job.
You ever notice that, Dee? We have this habit of smashing the fourth wall when really inappropriate moments. So anyway, I want to just say I feel really super cool, ready to do the local news.
All right.
With the man, the myth, the legend, the pride and joy of Alton, Illinois, the man that David Ferris and Lori Lightfoot call the doctor with, oh, what a week it was.
Did David Ferris really call me that?
No.
Oh, okay. Yes, everybody, you can download this weekend's Benny J bonus interview with the one, the only professor and author, David Ferris. It'll be available chicagoreader.com or wherever else you download podcast by tomorrow morning.
And one other thing to announce.
What?
On Sunday, we will have a recording of Tuesday's First Tuesday with Anjanette Young.
That is correct.
On Chappelle Wells. And that was, if I must say so myself, folks, a really powerful show. I urge everybody to check it out if you haven't heard it already. Maybe if you need to listen to it on Tuesday live, listen to it again. Really powerful stuff from Anjanette Young and Chappelle Wells about dealing with the police in Chicago at some moments when they weren't at their finest, and more to the point, dealing with the politics and the powers that be in the city who just sort of look the other way at instances of injustice unless they explode in the headlines, and there's no other way to avoid them. Anjanette Young, of course, if you recall, is the woman who on the west side, the police had a no-knock warrant. They knocked on her door. She had just stepped out of the shower. She was naked. She was saying, "What are you doing here? This is my home." They put her in handcuffs. Really horrific tale. Anyway, that show will drop Sunday morning.
Sunday morning, chicagoreader.com. Wherever else you download podcasts. If you're listening live, we suggest you go check that out. Subscribe. Give us a review. 5 stars only. You know what I mean? That'd be great. All right, here we go. Let's talk about the week that was in Chicago and or Illinois. We begin in Illinois, and we begin with Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker.
And for the record, I love puppies.
Now, for the past few weeks, Governor Pritzker has been traveling around the state, preparing us for life in the pandemic, now with vaccines. And he's really been preparing Illinois' teachers and students for the reopening of schools K through 12. He's been downstate, he's been upstate, east, west, he's been everywhere, man. Well, sort of, because in his travels, the governor has managed to avoid that one gigantic part on the map of Illinois, the place you usually can't tear the guy away from. He loves it. Yes, he's been pretty quiet on the plethora of schools right here in the city of Chicago. Ben Joravsky, why do you think that is again?
Why is the governor not wading into the situation between the Chicago Teachers Union and Mayor Lori Lightfoot in opening schools? Is that the exact question you're asking me, young man?
I think that's the exact question, yeah.
Because he does not want to offend either party. Governor Pritzker is supported by the Chicago Teachers Union and sort of supported by Mayor Lori Lightfoot. And as such, he's like, ha! That was my Governor Pritzker imitation.
It's getting better. It's getting a lot better.
Ha! That's really my imitation of Dennis doing imitation of Pritzker. But no, he didn't want to get involved in it. And there's also already he's alienated or irritated, I should say, Mayor Lori Lightfoot by signing a bill. I think Dennis is going to get to this a little while later, so I don't want to scoop him. having to do with bargaining rights of the Chicago Teachers Union. So he's just kind of like just trying to pretend that rift doesn't exist, just going to go on, just go through. I don't blame him, by the way. I do not blame him. You don't want to. He heard, by the way, regular listener to our show, Governor Pritzker. And he heard.
He loves our program. He loves our program.
He really loves it when you do your imitation of him.
Oh, he loves it when you do the imitation.
He goes, honey, I love this guy. He's so funny, this Dr. D. And so, he doesn't want to, no, he's heard that bit where Lori Lightfoot and Raylo go at it. Alderman Raylo, you think he wants that going? You think he wants the mayor of the city of Chicago to tell him, well, I think you're 100% full of beep. You don't want that. So he's just, I think I'll just ignore the entire city of Chicago. If I don't see it, it doesn't exist. Look, D, I got my eyes closed. I can't see you. You cease to exist. But now my eyes are open.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think he wants any of that.
I want an answer. It's not something you ignore.
I think you're 100% full of shit is what I think. If you think
No offense, well, fuck you then.
Oh, my God.
Who are you to tell me I'm full of shit?
Still gets me every time.
I love it. And by the way, we'll get to this later. Raylo and Mayor Lori Lightfoot had a little making up. Went down yesterday. Very important ward committeeman vote. We'll get into that later, I think. But, they break up to make up. We did a 70s song earlier, the OJs. Now we'll do, I think it's the Stylistics. Break up to make up.
Millennials, we really would love if you keep listening. Don't tune out. A lot of 2021 content coming up. So, yeah, Governor Pritzker has kind of been steering away from Chicago, but that changed last week a bit as Governor Pritzker did sign a bill on Friday restoring the ability of the Chicago Teachers Union to bargain with the city over a wide range of issues, including class size, layoffs, and the duration of the school year. The measure repeals Section 4.5 of the Illinois Educational Labor Relations Act, which has restricted the CTU's bargaining power since 1995, when state lawmakers gave then Mayor Richard M. Daley control of the school district after several long strikes. The change takes effect immediately, union leaders said, and could drastically change the scope of ongoing negotiations between the city and the union of how and whether high school students will be able to return to in-person class before the end of the academic year. So much more on the CTU, indeed drastically changing the scope of those ongoing negotiations in moments. But first, Ben, let's unpack that bill J.B. Pritzker signed. And real quick, is siding with the Chicago Teachers Union, I don't know, maybe the easiest way to get under our Chicago mayor's skin at the moment?
Yes. I suppose if you sided with the Fraternal Order of Police, that would irritate her as well, but probably not as much, and probably very unlikely that any Democratic governor would side with the Fraternal Order of Police on any issue. So the fastest way to really get to Lori Lightfoot is to say anything nice about the Chicago Teachers Union or sign a bill that they want. So yes, no wonder J.B. Pritzker is avoiding Chicago. I don't want to get her mad at me. It already is. Folks, this bill, God, I could go on a riff.
Go.
This goes back to 1995. That's so long ago. Most of you weren't even, I know you were born, but you weren't paying attention to Chicago politics. Well, I was. And in 1995, the state of Illinois decided it would be a good idea to give Mayor Richard M. Daley even more power than he had. Because the notion was only a powerful mayor like Richard M. Daley, who was like the sun god for the city of Chicago, could deal with the public schools. So they gave him all the power, essentially, and they stripped the union of power. And it was such a joke because the union at that time was very complicit with Mayor Daley. So this notion that they had to strip the union of its power at a time when the union wasn't exercising its power was kind of a joke to begin with. But they just wanted to make sure. And so they reduced the number of things that the union could legally bargain for in a contract. And this gets at this age-old issue of what is the Chicago Teachers Union, or what is the Teachers Union there for? And there are those in the Teachers Union, there's many people like this. I know because I talked to them, I met them, who said, we are here for bread and butter issues only. The amount of money we make, the amount of benefits we get. And what happens in a classroom, curriculum, class size, that is none of our business. We're just here for money and to protect our members if they're accused of some wrongdoing. That's it. That's all we're here for. And then there's a faction, it was a small faction in the 90s that was saying, well, teachers should be active partners in the education of children. They should have a hand in shaping curriculum. They should be able to take a stand on things like class size and how the class day and how the day is divided and how many hours in the day and whether there should be recess. They took away a recess in the middle of it all. And Mayor Daley and the powers that be in the city of Chicago said, no, we don't want to hear from you. This is what you do. You shut up, you go in the classroom, you cash your checks. Every 4 years, we'll give you a raise. Be quiet. And when we spend public dollars that are supposed to go to schools on our little TIF boondoggles, you shut up and you look the other way. Just like all the bankers and all the lawyers, all the so-called Republican good government types, look the other way. That was the worldview of Chicagoans in the 90s and the 00s. Just look the other way and let the master mayor, the emperor, the sun god run the city. And they all, by the way, all the good government groups, they were with it. Tribune, Sun Times, they were so happy that Daley was the mayor, that the Dailies were controlling things. Oh, the Dailies know how to run a city, Ben. Give them more power. It was like a handful of renegades, like yours truly. They shove them in the alternative newspaper where you, freaking hippie, commie, radical. So yeah, D, that was 1995. And now, even now, you read the good government groups and the civic groups and the editorial boards, and they go, it'd be like the world was dark before 1995. And then the light went on. Mayor Daley took control. We cannot allow it to go back to the chaos support before 1995. Nothing has changed in the Chicago public schools, ladies and gentlemen, on a really basic, essential way ever. Public schools in Chicago are still incapable, unable to educate poorest kids from the poorest communities at the same levels as the richest kids from the richest community. Nothing has changed. But they'll tell you, things are so much better in the Chicago public schools since we gave the power to the mayor. They must be better because we say it's better. We believe everything we say. So yeah, Karen Lewis, the great Karen Lewis, in 2010 got elected as the president of the Chicago Teachers Union, and she made a move to take away that law, to rewrite that law so that teachers could bargain on things like class size. She believed, Karen Lewis, that teachers should be empowered and that teachers should be active participants in what goes on in a classroom and should be more than just cogs in a machine and should do more than just say, shut up and sit there and take your money. Don't talk to us about nurses or librarians. Do as we tell you. Take your rate. What did the Sun Times say? Take your money and go back into that class. What a city. Anyway, D. Yes. So J.B. Pritzker, here's a shocker. He promised to sign the bill when he ran, and he delivered his promise. Unlike certain mayor of the city of Chicago, who made a bunch of promises when she was running.
Well, she made a few to you, too, right?
Yeah, she got some dummies like a certain podcast show host.
All right.
Wait. She's going to do it. She said it to me. At the hideout, she said it. If a mayoral candidate tells me something and it's going to be true.
She had all us hipsters hooked. She said she loved Wilco, all that stuff. She's playing hacky sack outside. She got us all, guys.
Those hipsters at the hideout are like, "Bud, she's so cool, man. Oh, wow."
All right, so
Whoa.
for the details on this bill, well, we're going to an unexpected source. Now, Ben, get ready. You may get a little flustered here because for this story, we're going to hands down one of the worst forms of right-wing Illinois media. It's no one's favorite, the Illinois Policy Institute. Hey, now the IPI, at least they're honest, all right? They hate Chicago.
That is correct.
They loathe the governor.
Face coverings.
And they can't stand the Chicago Teachers Union.
Right now,
So, Ben, that was Jesse Sharkey, by the way, president of the CTU. So, Ben, for the sake of something different, I am going to read this piece from the Illinois Policy Institute. And please feel free to weigh in whenever you like, or when you just have to tap out and you can't take anymore and you got to rant, all right?
All right, sounds like a plan.
All right, cool. This is from the Illinois Policy Institute. First up, the headline. In all caps, Pritzker signs bill making it easier for Chicago Teachers Union to walk out on students. The Chicago Teachers Union never seems to miss an opportunity to go on strike, but state leaders just gave them more opportunities to do so. After going on strike 3 times between 2012 and 2019, the union nearly walked out again in 2021 to protest the reopening of Chicago public schools for in-person learning. Newly signed legislation will give the union even more power to go on strike, using students as pawns in its political battle against Chicago public schools. They are peeved at the IPI. They say it's a power that is denied to teachers' unions in 8 of the nation's 10 largest school districts. They go on to remind us that teacher strikes are legal in 8 of the 10 districts and that CTU's increased power should alarm Chicago parents because House Bill 2275 repeals a portion of the Illinois Education Labor Relations Act that limited negotiations between CPS and CTU to issues related to wages and benefits. And now CPS, this is still Illinois Policy Institute, and now CPS will be forced to bargain over everything, including subjects such as class schedules and hours and places of instruction. Those issues were continuous earlier this year before CPS reopened for elementary students.
Is it time for me to weigh in, young man?
I believe so.
Okay, that moment has come. First, I just want to remind people, if you've forgotten, the Illinois Policy Institute is sort of the brains of the Republican Party in the state of Illinois. What brains there are in the Republican Party in Illinois. They are the think tank. They sit there every day and they ponder the great problems of the universe, and they come up with solutions for them. As such, they're very smart people, very learned. That's as opposed to Darren Bailey, who's like the public face of the Republican Party. And as opposed to Jim Durkin, who is hiding under a table right now. I don't want to offend somebody. I'm scared.
Habana.
The Illinois Policy Institute is sort of like the ideological kindred spirit of the Chicago Tribune editorial board, or John Cass, the right-wing columnist for the Chicago Tribune. And so when they say that students are pawns in the political battles of Chicago, they're using students as pawns in their political battle. And their political battle is against unions. And what they've been saying it for years now. Their leader for a long time, Bruce Rauner, one of Dennis's favorite governors. As soon as I said his name, I heard your invitation. Heck of a governor, Illinois Policy Institute. And by the way, great job, Chicago Tribune editorial board, in endorsing Rauner, giving us some great candidates to run our state. Thank you very much. But this was Bruce Rauner's theme. We could just get rid of that union, that dastardly union. And really, when it's Bruce Rauner and the other chieftains of the Republican Party that represent like mega rich people, the reason they want to get rid of the Chicago Teachers Union And the reason they want to get rid of unions in general is because the unions support the Democrats. Duh. Unions support the Democrats. If you undercut the power of unions, you really take away a key ally of the Democrats. You figured Democrats could figure this out. But Democrats, for so long, were laboring under the delusion that, yes, there's a bipartisan solution to all our problems. And then you have to agree that unions have too much power. Do you know how many Democrats have told me that down through the years? Rahm Emanuel, that was his big thing. We got to undercut the unions. If we undercut the unions, then we'll look better to swing voters. Dan Biss was toying with that for a while. He apologized for at least when he ran in 2014. Pritzker was. All Democrats were under this influence. It was a very powerful gain that the Rounders of the world made in the early part of the last decade when they got Democrats to sign on to some of this anti-union rhetoric. Democrats have left that. They realized they were used, a lot of Democrats realized that they were used as stooges. They were the stooges for the Republicans. And as a result, Wisconsin went Republican because the Democrats abandoned their union brothers and sisters. They bought into that rhetoric, that anti-union rhetoric. Now Wisconsin's trying to get out from the control of these lunatics in the Republican Party. Here in Illinois, the Republicans are playing the same game. So they're trying to convince parents in Chicago that the greatest threat, existential threat to their children, is an all-powerful Chicago teachers union. And it's really bizarre. Is their ally in this is Mayor Lori Lightfoot. And it's just something that happens to mayors in Chicago. It happened with Rahm. Well, Rahm did it voluntarily. Mayor Daley at the end, when he didn't get his Olympics, kind of lost his mind, politically speaking. They turn against the union. And they figure, well, I got more votes to be gained by being against the union and making the union look like some evil left-wing monolith than I will get by supporting the union or joining with the union. That's the game that Chicago politicians play, Chicago mayors, I should say. And they're being cheered on by, of all people, the Illinois Policy Institute. So giving teachers a say, a greater say in what goes on in their classroom and their schools, that's bad. I disagree. I don't even know if the Illinois Policy Institute really agrees on this point. Again, they're Republicans. They're very strategic. They're very tactical. And if they could turn the public against the teachers union, depower the teachers union, you undercut the teachers union, less support for the Democrats, more power for the Republicans. They can rewrite state laws that benefit wealthy people. That's the game, Chicago. That's the game. So you could either be an active player in the game, supporting the Rounders of the world, or, I don't know, you could be wise. Like this old hippie in the attic looking at the porta potty.
So, hey, thanks, Illinois Policy Institute, I guess. It was literally the first thing that came up when I went to research everything. Just Illinois Policy Institute. First article came up. Thought that was very interesting.
Our favorite institute, Illinois Policy. Do we know any other institutes? I'm trying to think.
The Art Institute. That's one in Chicago.
Sorry, Illinois Policy Institute. I like the Art Institute better than I like you.
So, yeah, Governor Pritzker signed that bill into law, giving the Chicago Teachers Union more bargaining ability. And God bless them, just days later, back to our regularly scheduled programming in 2021 Chicago news. Went away for about a month. Did you miss it? It's the CTU versus the CPS, round 2, 3, 4. Ben, what round is this now?
I don't know. Round 7.
Yeah,
I just made that up.
Sure. Round 7. The CTU now wants the reopening of high schools delayed 1 week, citing COVID-19 variant concerns. The following comes from the Chicago Sun-Times, and A powerhouse trio, if I've ever seen one. Stefano Esposito, Fran the Woman Spielman, and Nadir Issa. CTU President Jesse Sharkey, speaking on a Zoom call with union leaders and reporters Wednesday, said he is concerned about a COVID-19 variant spreading in states neighboring Illinois. It is unclear, he said, if the variant is behind the recent spike in Chicago cases. All right, so I have quotes from the CTU, and I have quotes from Mayor Lightfoot as well.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Oh, good afternoon, Madam Mayor. First, let's hear from the CTU. Sharkey and union members said they were concerned that CPS plans to have students at some high schools attending in-person classes 4 days a week rather than splitting up the student body so that half attend, say, on Monday and Tuesday, with the other half coming in Thursday and Friday. The union wants assurances that scheduling allows for safe social distancing. Sharkey said, quote, "We need to answer those questions in order to understand if it's safe to open schools right now for the high schools. This is precisely the age of people in this city who, in states around the country, are driving the surge in other places. The only way to keep things safe in high school is to have low enough student attendance numbers so that you can have social distancing. That's a function of scheduling." The CTU also suggested public health conditions are worsening close to the point that elementary schools, which have been open since early March, would soon have to shut down again per the union's reopening agreement with the district. 2 of 3 conditions outlined in that deal have already been met for district-wide closures, with the third being a 10% average citywide test positivity rate over the course of a week. Chicago stood at 5.2% as of Tuesday. If high schools reopen during what might be the start of a new wave of infections, they might lead to worse metrics and inadvertently cause the closure of elementary schools, an outcome that no one wants, Jesse Sharkey said. Let's see here. We got Lightfoot's comments, but Ben, your thoughts here on what Jesse Sharkey had to say.
Well, Jesse Sharkey's doing what a union leader is supposed to do, looking out for the interests of his union members. So there's health considerations to be taking into consideration. Absolutely. You know, these are, you can't really argue with anything he said. I mean, well, you could rebut it, but you can't really attack him for looking out for the health interest of his constituents. I don't know why anybody would. The essential point of the anti-union faction in the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago, actually the country as a whole, is they don't want teachers to object on any matter. They just want teachers to go along. And here we have in the city of Chicago a very active union that stands up for its constituents. That in itself irritates the hell out of a lot of people in this city. And it does. I have to say, we've fallen into certain habits in the media. And Dennis and I are as guilty of this as anybody else. I admit it, D. We're as guilty as my beloved headline writers at the Chicago Sun-Times and the Tribunal. We're guilty of this. It's like, life is boring. It's complicated. We don't have to make sense of it. I know. I got Jesse Sharkey over here, Lori Lightfoot over there. Let's put their picture here. It was the cover of the Sun-Times. Was it yesterday? I've lost track of time, Dennis. There was a picture of Sharkey. They always get that picture with the red sweatshirt and Lori Lightfoot. She's mad and he's mad.
Yeah, both not
like,
flattering pictures of either.
I know. Let's get the worst photo we can of Lori Lightfoot, put that on the front page, and let's double down with a horrible photo of Jesse Sharkey, put that on the front page, and then they're mad at each other. And then everybody's like, oh. So sick of it. I'm just so sick of it. Oh, I'm a Chicagoan.
Okay, so we heard from Jesse Sharkey, president of the Chicago Teachers Union, now from the Chicago mayor. Speaking to reporters later Wednesday morning at a Southside News conference called to announce the expansion of Sunday library hours, Mayor Lori Lightfoot dismissed the union's point and said she is sticking with the April 19th date to reopen CPS high schools. Teachers and staff should report to their schools schools in this upcoming Monday unless they have an approved work from home accommodation, district officials said in an email on Wednesday. That was the first time workers were officially informed of their report date 5 days in advance. Lightfoot argued that there is, quote, no basis for renegotiating the framework agreement that reopened schools for K through 8 students and set the stage to do the same at high schools. As part of the negotiation in writing, Lightfoot said, we set forth a plan for when schools would be open, but also if the conditions warranted when we would close by classroom, by school, and by district. That's already baked into the plan, so we're gonna follow the plan. There's no basis for us to renegotiate that. The terms are ones that were agreed to by the CTU just a matter of a few weeks ago. I see no basis for delay, and it's my expectation that we're going to be opening up high schools as indicated by CPS.
All right, no basis for delay. This classic mixed message. And I say this as a guy, I had my second shot, my second vaccine. And the clock's ticking down for the 2 weeks. You know, when I have to still have to do the social distancing before I'm 94% sure. But meanwhile, there's articles in the paper. The variant's coming. The variant's not protected by the immunization shot you got, Ben. Be scared. Be very scared of the variant. And Mayor Lightfoot, when she's not denouncing Jesse Sharkey, is talking about the variant.
You're scaring me about this variant, the way you're talking.
So on one hand, we're watching the variant very closely. We may have to adjust our social protocol laws. Science dictates it. It's nothing but scientists. We have scientists in the bowels of City Hall right now at their computers. I'm a scientist. Checking the variant and rates of infection. And if there's any change, we will take your car, shut you out. Won't let you play basketball, close down the lakefront, okay? But on the other hand, when Jesse Sharkey goes, well, you know, I see this thing in the story about the variant. Shut up with the variant, okay? We had a contract. We cut a deal with you, and we're sticking with that deal. It's like, hey, people of Chicago, this is what you want. This goes back to that conversation I was having about the 1995 law. All power to the mayor, because only a powerful mayor can deal with this unruly city with these commie teacher unions and weird talk show podcast hosts in their attics. So that's why we need an all-powerful mayor. That's kind of the Chicago mindset. So Lori Lightfoot, I think she really likes being mayor. You know what? So many people go, I don't know why anybody would want the job. I don't know why anybody. She's doing a great job. This is a classic Chicago line. I see this one all the time. She's doing a great job considering the circumstances, and I don't know why anybody would want the job. So I'm going to vote for her again because she's the only one who wants a job. I got news for you. I think there's probably 25 people in Chicago City Council right now who want that job. Dennis has even talked about throwing his hat in the ring.
The news is out.
So, I think Lori Lightfoot loves the job. Because when you're mayor of Chicago, that's like, you're the boss. And there's some kind of people who love being the boss. Rahm loved the job. He loved being the boss. So did Daley. Good God. Mayor Lori Lightfoot really reminds me of Mayor Richard Daley in so many ways. And just the way she deals with criticism, her temper, etc. But they love that power. And there's a certain sector of Chicago that loves investing them with all that power. Because they figured out that if you get the mayor to sign on to whatever you want, you're golden. That's all you need. And so that's why they support the mayor when it comes to issues like how much influence should the teachers have in the school curriculum, school policies, class size, etc. No. We don't want you to have any say. We want the mayor to have all the say because only a powerful, strong mayor can run this unruly city. So D, they're just playing. They're reading from the script. It's this is sort of where we're at right now in relations between the mayor and the Chicago Teachers Union. And so is it based on anything other than what? Defending your turf? I'm not sure, D, because the same mayor, the same powers that be, when they talk about the pandemic and its threats, very careful to say they reserve the right to change, to put in more social protocol orders, social distancing orders, limit access to bars and restaurants at any given notice, right, D? They got the right to do that. But when it comes to the schools, you have an agreement. This is the way it is. We're the boss. You shut up and do what we say. So it's got nothing to do with the pandemic, ladies and gentlemen. Just throwing that out there. It's power politics in the city of Chicago.
All right. Well, before we move on, I feel like I need to ask you. It's been a while since I gauged this, and we're now 2 years in under Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
I won't just turn the car around. I'm going to shut it off. I'm going to kick you out, and I'm going to make you walk home.
How close, in your point of view, Ben, is Mayor Lightfoot to Rom country?
Oh, wow. Great question. Great question, Madam Mayor. Great question.
I just thought of it right now.
You know, I think she's got a ways to go before she gets to Rom country. And Rom was using Chicago. It's two different things. And this is like an idea that's freshly developing in my brain as I say it, D, because I was not aware. I was not prepared for this. But now that you asked it, I'm really into it. And so Rom, like Chicago was just a rung up the ladder for Rom. You know, he was going to use Chicago to advance his brand, promote his brand, and advance his career. And you dummies in Chicago helped him. Ooh, okay, he must be good. He was Obama's chief of staff. And I love Obama. I'll vote for him because I'm a happy Chicagoan. He was like, he didn't know anything about Chicago. He barely ever lived here. He didn't know anything about the Chicago public schools. It was like, I'm going to take this city and implement my dumbass ideas on it and then use that to promote my brand and my name and get something bigger and better and move on. Well, I totally bombed, not knowing Chicago was a deterrence to effectively running it or leading it. And so it had the reverse effect, D, of pretty much ruining his brand, at least at the moment. He's doing everything he can to try to reverse that. Everything he can to resurrect his name, his brand. With the help of George Stephanopoulos at ABC. Rom, what do you think about the issues of the day? Since you did such a wonderful job making a hellhole out of Chicago, we're going to give you a platform to express your ideas. Well, thank you, George Steph. And with Chris Christie, who did arguably a worse job with New Jersey than Rom did with Chicago. I know. We're going to take two of the biggest failures, politically speaking, of the last 10 years and make them experts. So that's Rom. Mayor Lori Lightfoot, I don't see her as promoting herself. I think she believes that she's the smartest person in the room and the best person to lead the city. And whether she has like a worldview, or is she signing on her ideology the way Rom did? I'm not certain. You know, it's really hard to make any like judgments about Lori Lightfoot because the pandemic limited her ability to throw around city money. You know, Rom was like, he made it clear. He was a total trickle-down mayor. If you give money to rich people, a nickel, you give them $1 and a nickel falls to some poor person, that's progress. And they have a press conference to announce the nickel falling down and totally ignoring the $1 that went out to the rich guy. That was Rom's worldview. Trickle down, classic trickle down. I don't know if Lori subscribes to that. We don't know because the pandemic has limited her ability to throw money around. I guess we'll see, D, once the pandemic lifts and she has power to, do some TIF deals. Was not a good sign when she looked the other way and pretended she didn't have the power to stop the Lincoln Yards. That was not a good sign. But we really don't know the extent of her ideological similarity to Rahm because her hands have been tied. But I definitely think she's an improvement. I know all you Lori bashers out there, you don't like Lori Lightfoot, but I do believe she's an improvement over Rahm Emanuel as mayor of the city of Chicago.
Thank you, Chicago, for this humbling victory. All I can say, you sure know how to make a guy feel at home.
Oh, and also,
Take a chill pill, man.
Oh, yeah. My favorite. Wait, what about the bike? I rode around this Lake Michigan. Oh, that one too, D.
yeah, I couldn't find the audio clip. Shout out to Jay Marie on the live stream chat. I wouldn't say the biggest fan of Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot. Would you, Ben?
Don't invite them to the same party.
Jay Marie asks, so what does Lori have to do for Ben Jarofsky to just let her have it? Lori's pretty much Rahm Emanuel. Sorry, Ben.
Yeah, I did. Jay Marie, I just pretty much, I don't know. I'm not ready to say that again. She hasn't had the opportunity to waste a lot of money on dumbass TIF deals where you take money from poor people and give it to rich people. So I need to see a little more proof, Jay Marie. I'm holding back. Okay.
All right. Translation. We'll check back in a few months. All right.
Yes, there we go. Well, presuming the variants don't destroy us.
All right. Hey, come on.
It is pretty funny though. Before I leave this one, it is pretty funny. Like Lori Lightfoot reserves the right to cite the variant as a possible reason why she may have to change her mind on allowing restaurants to open. But how dare Jesse Sharkey do the same thing? How dare you?
Kyle,
I'm the mayor.
Kyle on the live stream chat agrees with Jay Marie. He says, I'm having a real hard time seeing any type of nuisance difference between Lightfoot and Rahm.
Guys,
Oh, well, we got our host ducking and dodging here, guys. This is awesome.
I don't see the evidence. I mean, I'll recite what Rahm did. I'm going to redo Rahm. I mean, and again, I'll repeat what I said. Lori Lightfoot hasn't had the opportunity to do this because she has no money to throw around. First thing Rahm did, that stupid budget of his of 2011, close mental health clinics, threaten to close libraries, and shift money to downtown developments. Then bring in NATO. Remember that one? Remember bringing in NATO? D, were you in town for that? What a joke that was. All that money, all that attention, all that effort to bring the NATO summit meeting to Chicago. And then the showdown in the streets with the radicals running through the streets of Chicago, battling cops. The downtown is like a war zone. Yeah, that was Rahm's vision. Lori Lightfoot hasn't done anything like that yet. Rahm left the same way he came in with the $1.3 billion Lincoln Yards TIF deal. Now, I know Lori pretended. You're right. Jay Marie, you're absolutely correct. Even though I'm citing myself, and I give you the credit for this, Jay Marie. She looked the other way. She pretended she was helpless, couldn't stop it. But it wasn't her idea. It was Rahm's idea. So I could go on and on about the boondoggles. Oh, my God. The DePaul basketball arena in the South Loop. How can we forget that? That was a Rahm idea. Then the money ended up going to Navy Pier. Somehow or other, that's not illegal. So I'm just saying, before I totally sign on that one is a carbon copy of the other, I need a little more evidence. No, Ben.
All right. We had his feet to the fire there for a little bit, guys. That was fun. And,
ouch! My foot hurts.
Oh, my God. And besides, has Mayor Lightfoot rode her bike around Lake Michigan?
I just biked around Lake Michigan.
Hell no, man. How many miles?
Nearly 1,000 miles.
Holy cow, that guy.
Rom. But Jay Marie, she's close. She, in a lot of, I actually think she's closer to Mayor Daley. That's just my opinion.
Well, Ben,
I think
when you
more.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just say in temperament, personality. She just reminds me of Richard M. Daley more than Rom had this just irritation with everyone all the time. Oh, God. I always had a feeling Rom was looking at his watch, figuring, how soon before I get out of this godforsaken hellhole of a city that I claim as my own, even though I've never lived here and I don't particularly like it? I always had the feeling that D is like, oh, God, I can't wait to get my bike and ride around Lake Michigan in my spandex. I don't know. I just get the feeling that Lori Lightfoot just, this is what she wants to be, mayor of the city of Chicago. So anyway, that's just me, D.
Guys, nearly 1,000 miles.
Nearly 1,000 miles.
And by the way, not one person wanted health insurance. That was everybody forgets that part of it. When that little anecdote that I think it was on the George Stephanopoulos show.
Yeah.
Was bragging about how he met with the people of Michigan. Like Rom with his spandex on his bicycle, riding around Michigan. Everybody he met, not one of them wanted a new health care plan. Not one of them. Not an issue they care about. Don't even talk about it. Healthcare is great in this country. I'm Rahm Emanuel, and I have spandex.
All right, I got to remember to keep checking in on this question. We'll check back in maybe a month or so to see where we stand on that. All right, more Chicago school news this week. The following comes from the Chicago Tribune. In Alice Yen, the Cook County Democratic Party has voted in favor of state legislation that would establish an elected board in charge of Chicago public schools, a move that would contradict Mayor Lori Lightfoot's opposition to the plan. She just can't win this week. And I've been there. All right. In a 51-5 decision, the Central Committee voted on Wednesday night to endorse Illinois House and Senate plans. The move sets the wheels in motion for the party to write formal letters to Illinois House Speaker Emanuel Chris Welch and Senate President Don Harmon, urging them to enact the legislation. Both of the Democratic legislative leaders also expressed their support of the proposal that night. Neither measure has yet to pass either chamber, but the nod from the party ratchets up pressure on Lori Lightfoot as she continues opposing the Chicago Teachers Union endorsed legislation that she had characterized as unwieldy. Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle, who had CTU's support but lost her mayoral bid in the 2019 runoff election against Lightfoot, serves as the Democratic Party's Cook County chair. And State Senator Robert Martwick, and former guest on this program, Robert Martwick, the Senate bill's lead sponsor and the 38th Ward committee person, said before the vote that his plan would deliver CPS students the democracy that American soldiers die for on foreign soil. Mayor Lightfoot's thoughts on the Senate bill? According to the Tribune, Lightfoot again stood her ground on Tuesday, saying any elected school board plans will, quote, happen on a timeline that makes sense, not a timeline someone tries to dictate to me.
Yes. Mayor Lori Lightfoot and her broken promise.
I want an answer.
I think one of the promises she made at the Hideout, where she lured hipsters into her lair, was an elected school board. And she ran on the need for an elected school board. I'm all over the map when it comes to elected school board, but I believe if mayor runs on a promise of elected school board, she should deliver on that promise. But clearly, once she became mayor of the city of Chicago, and this is a similarity that she has with Rahm and Daley, she realized by having an elected school board, less power for her. Mayors love power. And part of the reason has to do with the TIF program. The way the TIF program works, ladies and gentlemen, it's complicated, but pay attention. The way the TIF program works is that when you implement a TIF, it diverts money from the public schools, and it diverts it into bank accounts controlled by the mayor. If you had an elected school board, there's a chance. Now, admittedly, it's a minute chance, this being Chicago, but there's a chance a Chicago voter might elect a school board member who objects to this diversion of public tax dollars from the public schools to the mayor's TIF projects, to the mayor's TIF accounts. And as such, it could be problematic for the mayor. We might, oh my God, we might have an actual honest discussion of how the TIF program impacts public education. Mayors don't want that. We just had the Lincoln Yard TIF deal went through. You didn't hear one word from the Board of Education, even though that project has serious financial consequences for how the schools will finance and pay their bills. Not one word. Why? Because they're mayoral appointees and they know they're not supposed to talk about the TIFs. In fact, they pretend as though there's nothing they can do about it. Well, you know, state law doesn't allow us really, Ben, to weigh in on this. That's how far they'll go to fool themselves and fool you. So if you have an elected school board, that's just one example of how it would encroach on the mayor's power. And Mayor Lori Lightfoot, she figured that out early. So, Mayor Rahm, he figured that out early. So that's something they have in common. They both figured out an elected school board would undercut their power, and they both oppose it as a result. Now, Rahm, in some ways, was more honest about his opposition to the elected school board. He never signed on to it in the first place. So it's not as though he broke a promise. Mayor Lori Lightfoot signed on to it. Now she's saying, well, it's the details I don't like. I believe in the principle. It's the details I don't like. And they always want to like make it like 2 years down the road before it comes in. You know what I'm saying, Dave? Well, you got to study things. We've got to prepare for it. So that's another 2 years. She doesn't have to worry about it. So, I don't know what elected school board actually will do to make public education in the city of Chicago better, but it would do a heck of a lot more to have a control over the mayor. That is for certain. There is no control over her right now at all. No control over Rahm either, for that matter. They appoint the school board. They make sure that the people they put on the school board will do pretty much what they want them to do, and life goes on. That vote was interesting, D.
Well, and about those 5 no votes.
Yes.
Go ahead. 4 of the 5 no votes for the school board legislation were aldermen. They were Alderman Raymond Lopez of the 15th Ward.
I want an answer.
David Moore of the 17th Ward, Michael Scott of the 24th Ward, and Alderman Tom Tunney of the 44th Ward.
You have to be a good neighbor. You have to be a good neighbor. Otherwise, I'm going to be up your butt every day.
Yes, Tom Tunney, alderman of the 44th Ward, and of course, the head of the zoning committee, one of the most powerful committees in the city council, one of the most powerful aldermen in the city council, man who is virtually unbeatable in the 44th Ward.
Don't forget about those cinnamon rolls now. Come on.
There you go. He runs Ann Sadler's restaurant, and people, this is Chicago, they don't ask for much. They really don't. You give a Lakeview resident a good cinnamon roll, he'll be voting for you for life.
You give me a good cinnamon roll, I'll be voting for you for life. I know it probably doesn't mean the same, but, just say it. Damn, I love cinnamon rolls.
Hey, Tom Tunney, you want Dennis's vote? He doesn't even live in your ward. And Tom Tunney, of course, may have forgotten, in the midst of the pandemic, when Governor Pritzker had ordered restaurants closed, he was operating that cinnamon roll speakeasy. Remember that one, D? Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me. And you knock on the door and someone comes, yeah, what do you want? I heard the password is Dr. D cinnamon roll. Yeah, come on in. They let you in the back room. Woo! We're going to have a party. Hey, ain't it a beautiful?
And I'm over there in the corner with just a pile of them.
Yeah, then when it was all over, he goes, oh, sorry. He gets still to be he's still the head of the zoning committee. What a city. That's because he makes a good cinnamon roll. He won Lori Lightfoot over. She goes, say what you will about Tom Tunney, but these cinnamon rolls are unbelievable. So, yeah, there you go. Tom Tunney. Okay, just so you know this, folks, ward committeemen are not aldermen. It's a party position. You remember the leadership group that runs the Democratic Party, the executive director of the Democratic Party, frequent guest on this show, JK, Jacob Kaplan. And so clearly, Tony Preckwinkle was sticking a needle in to Lori Lightfoot. Obviously. She, okay, Lori Lightfoot, you think you're so big and bad because you defeated me 75% to 25%. I'm going to show you I'm still around. So they
like 2 years ago, still not over it, but sure, more than likely, yeah.
But not really. So I can't recall the last time the ward committeeman of the city of Chicago weighed in on a school policy. I would have loved it, by the way. Where was the ward committeeman of Chicago would say 2000, when was it? 8? When was that crazy parking meter deal? Wouldn't that have been something if the Democratic Party had weighed in to say, we disapprove of selling a asset that's worth about $10 billion for $1 billion. Even Ben, who barely passed geometry in high school, could figure that one out. Would have loved for them to be there. Let's see to speak out against that $1.3 billion with a B dollar TIF deal, Lincoln Yards. It's not like I'm jumping for joy that they did this, D. I got a feeling my dear friend Stacey Davis Gates may have had a little something to do with this. She got Lori Lightfoot, Tony Preckwinkle too. I just think that's just my guess. I could be wrong, Stacey. I could be wrong. So you know what, Lori Lightfoot? You should send a cinnamon roll. You should get Tom Tunney to give you a cinnamon roll and send it to Raylo. You complain about Raymond Lopez all the time. You cussed him out. But he was there for you on this vote. And Raylo, as everybody knows, is conservative. He's one of the more conservative members of the Chicago City Council. And as such, he subscribes to the notion that, these teachers unions have too much power. So he voted with the mayor. You think the mayor's going to give him any love, D? I don't think so. Michael Scott voted with the mayor. I believe he's the head of the education committee in the Chicago City Council. David Moore, that one surprised me. Voted with the mayor from the 17th Ward. That one surprised me. Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to look at it from David Moore's point of view. Who needs Mayor Lori Lightfoot mad at you? Remember when she got so mad at Jeanette Taylor? David Moore's like, you know what? I don't need this. I'd rather have Stacey Davis Gates mad at me than Lori Lightfoot. And let's see, Iris Martinez. That was an interesting one. She's a committee woman from... What is she from the 33rd Ward? That to me that's Dennis's old ward. That to me signals that she's getting ready to run somebody against Rosanna Rodriguez Sanchez. Just getting into the weeds there, folks. The deep dive into Chicago politics. I'm starting to think that there's some kind of showdown coming. They don't like her. Oh my goodness. They can't stand your old Alderwoman D. I like her personally. I love her. She's a good friend of the show. She comes on the show. But the powers that be in this town don't like her. She's too radical. So, I think that's a little telegraph that they're sending her way, D.
So. What is all this honesty and listening to the people that live in your neighborhood? What are you doing?
I know. And speaking from her heart, and she doesn't back down, and she doesn't insult anybody. You know what I mean? She's respectful of other people. Oh, can't have that.
Oh, now I know you seem real concerned and actually care, but what an idiot. And guys, I know what you're thinking. Wait, was that another episode of everyone's favorite daily Chicago political soap opera? Yes, it was. It was episode 403 of A Mayor and Her Alderman.
A Mayor and Her Alderman.
You have to be a good neighbor. You have to be a good neighbor. Otherwise, I'm going to be up your butt every day.
Yes, Tom Tunney, Alderman of the 44th Ward.
All right, now back to J.B. Pritzker.
The enemy is you.
Well, I've never. How dare you. First, it was one of the top stories nationally this week. Major League Baseball moved its All-Star game from Atlanta, Georgia to Denver, Colorado, due to restrictive voting legislation recently passed in Georgia. But when the news broke, surprisingly, our governor took to the plate, see what I did there, and went to bat for the land of Lincoln. And J.B. Pritzker proposed that maybe Illinois host the All-Star game. Here's JB's sales pitch to Major League Baseball.
We've made it clear they can start planning now. I mean, there's no doubt if they want to come to Illinois, and I've made that clear to Major League Baseball, that we would start working with them immediately on moving the All-Star game here.
And hey, if you really want to get confused, just days later, after inviting people from all over the country to come watch a baseball game during a pandemic, the governor announced that new cases of COVID-19 continue to rise in Illinois.
We did see an increase in cases in the last week, and I think kind of looming over all of our nightmares has been the variants that we see out there and whether they're going to be resistant.
Well, that's fun. And then his administration announced that they're hopeful that the state can move to phase 5 by the beginning of the summer.
We've now ridden through several rises and falls of COVID cases, and it's always difficult to give people hope that we're going to move forward, and then we see an increase in cases and we have to move back. But I will say, more than at any other time in the last 14 months, I am more hopeful than I've ever been.
So are we doing good? We doing bad? I don't know. Ben, what say you?
Well, D, that's a brilliant, that was well done. Mixed messages on COVID. That seems to be a constant theme on this show. But yeah, now JB didn't say, by the way, he said, yeah, baseball, you can come to Chicago. He didn't say he was going to let anybody in the stands. That's a whole lot. And by the way, I don't even know if he has the authority, because that's something else. Another power struggle between Lori Lightfoot and JB Pritzker is, I'm not sure whether it's Lori Lightfoot or JB Pritzker who has the authority to say to the Cubs and the White Sox how many people could sit in the stands. You know what I'm saying, Dave? I'm, by the way, now at the point where I'm got my second shot, got my mask, can't wait to go to a White Sox game, be one of 10,000 people at Sox Park. Not feeling that Texas Ranger 38,000, let's just cram them in like sardines. By the way, D, I looked at that picture again. There's like one guy with a mask, and it's not over his nose. It always kills me. The mask is supposed to go over the nose. I'm a little weird about that. Yeah, but it is classic mixed message. On one hand, come to Illinois. On the other hand, we don't know if we're going to be allowed to leave our houses. Yeah, mixed messages all over the place. And I think JB Pritzker we talked about Tony Preckwinkle was trying to stick the needle in Lori Lightfoot there. I think old JB was trying to needle Brian Kemp in Georgia, Governor, you know what I mean? By the way, took the deep dive on this one with David Ferris. Urge everybody to check that one out tomorrow. We really take the deep dive in Georgia. But I think old JB was sticking a needle in, D. That's what I think he was doing there.
Oh, and hey, Major League Baseball, could you pick a different city to move to? It's like 9% black people in Colorado. Can you pick a better city to move to?
Is that true?
Yeah, I looked it up.
9%, wow.
Yeah. Like 30% in Atlanta. But anyway.
Rocky Mountain High, Colorado.
But hey, Pritzker also announced this. The following comes from the Chicago Sun-Times. And, well, I forgot to put who wrote the article. More than likely, Rachel Hinton. All right, that's a guess, and I'll look later to find out after the end. COVID-19 vaccine providers will open 150,000 appointments across the Chicago suburbs next week when eligibility expands to all Illinois residents 16 or older. Pritzker said that Chicago residents can snap up some of those suburban slots since the city won't make adult vaccine eligibility universal until April 19th. And they're, quote, absolutely encouraged to do so as the entire state faces a third coronavirus surge. The governor said at a let's play ball, guys. The governor said at a western suburb Forest Park mass vaccination site, quote, we now need to get as many shots into arms as quickly as we possibly can. We're reserving some vaccine to make sure we're targeting particularly vulnerable groups that aren't fully vaccinated yet. But right now, we just want people to show up and get vaccinated as soon as possible. I want to make sure that people in Chicago know that they are welcome to sign up for our mass vaccination sites. Last week, the governor criticized Mayor Lori Lightfoot's administration for keeping a tighter lid on eligibility due to short supply. Pritzker took a softer stance Thursday, saying the vaccine rollout has been a, quote, complicated endeavor for everybody.
Yeah. Try to make nice. All right, he criticized her last week. He signed that the teacher union bill that the the teachers union want him to sign. Nah, it's like you gotta make nice with Lori Lightfoot. So he's trying to be nice to her. And by the way, D, you really want to get vaccine in people's arms? Go door to door with it. There you go. That's the Dr. Howard Ehrman approach. Just go door to door with it. Ding dong. Could you imagine if they showed it at your house, D?
No.
They're bam, put that sucker in your arm. See you in 2 weeks. There you go. That's how you vaccinate people. Instead, these cockamamie rules. And by the way, I just saw this in the paper. Was it 83,000 vaccines? I should actually have the exact number. I should have written it down and doing it from memory. But in Mississippi, many people just the vaccines are available, but they don't want it. They don't trust it. Who knows what's going on in people's minds? You know, they don't want to get on the computer. You know what you do? Door to door. How about that, D? Ding dong. There we go.
To be honest, that frightens the hell out of me. But Ben, you had your second shot recently, and like I said, you know, I'm waiting. You know, I'm taking my time to get the vaccine, just trying to feel out how everybody's feeling. Ben, when did you get that second shot?
Saturday.
You got it on Saturday. All right. Yes. So I just got to know, how you feeling? Feeling good? Feeling bad? Feeling strange? What's going on? I got to gauge this here.
For a while, it really improved my singing.
Okay, well, that is probably a lot there.
Love train, get on board. Woo, woo. By the way, I just saw the OJ's, an old show. What's his name, D? We always have this trouble. Daryl's garage or his house.
Oh, Daryl Hall of Hall & Oates. Daryl's house. Hell yeah. Great show.
And it is a great show. Sorry, guys. I always say house or garage. I get it mixed up because it's like the music room and Daryl Hall's home is. I always think it's in the garage, but it's probably not there. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The OJs were on, and it was a great show. I urge everybody, even if you don't know 70s music, to go check it out because they do a lot of great riffs and, you know, the OJs can really sing. And I just think Daryl Hall is a great musician. So I urge everybody to check it out. You got OJs in my mind. And that's a really good show. So,
all right. Anyway. And finally, our last piece of news. It's time for another super early 2022 Illinois gubernatorial candidate update.
Oh, yeah.
This is a 2022 Illinois gubernatorial candidate update.
Date.
Okay. Yes, before we go, we need to talk about the governor's latest Republican gubernatorial challenger, wealthy businessman and parking lot prodigy, Gary Rabin. Gary Rabin may have picked up the early lead as Illinois gubernatorial Republican candidate literally a year and a half from now because Rabin just sent out a message to any future or potential Republican campaign donors, and that message is, hey, rich people, give me all the money that you can. The following comes from the Chicago Sun-Times and Andrew Sullender. Millionaire businessman Gary Rabin notified state election officials over the weekend that he had donated enough of his own cash to his newly minted gubernatorial campaign to lift all fundraising caps on the race. The $250,390.04 the suburban Republican is kicked in pales in comparison to the $35 million that Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker pumped into his own war chest last month. But under Illinois' campaign finance laws, Rabin's contributions triggered the lifting of the caps because they were made within a year of the 2022 primary. Pritzker's fell just outside that window. Ben, explain a little bit of what's going on here in the campaign cash handlings of Illinois.
Well, God, this was a pet peeve of mine about 3 or 4 years ago. I forget when I discovered this. I wrote a few columns about it for the Reader. In the name of reforming campaign financing in the state of Illinois, they deformed it. And they have this provision that if you kick in $50,000 to your own campaign, I think it's $50,000, don't quote me, but a certain amount, then all caps are off. This is not just for governor races, also mayor races. Remember, it's happened in the city of Chicago. That's why I tell people when it comes to Illinois politics and Chicago politics, never, ever, ever use the word reform. Just, in fact, you know what? You shouldn't use the word reform on anything. They always talk about immigration reform. What does that even mean? Anyway, neither here. So this is a huge loophole, if you will, in the law that undercuts it's the intent of the law. And so it enables rich people. I mean, this dude, Rabin, is not in Pritzker country, but he's got some money. Before him, it was Rauner financing his campaign, getting his pals to do it. And so it's a joke, absolute joke, a farce. We need some real campaign, really laws that absolutely regulate the amount of money that goes into campaign. And it's just so funny, I just thinking about this, the way these issues evolve, politically speaking. If the Republicans for the longest time were championing the rights of corporations to give unlimited amounts of money to political campaigns. Like, corporations are people too. And you're restricting their First Amendment protected rights to participate in the process. Then, of course, when corporations say, oh, we're outraged at the state of Georgia for passing laws restricting the rights of black people to vote. How dare they? We are a weird people. Anyway, so yes, there's a huge loophole in the Law D that undercuts the purpose of the law. Big surprise. Like I always say, never, ever, ever believe anyone when they say they're reforming something in the state of Illinois.
All right. Well, I'm going to put you in the hot seat again here. Now, I know it's a ways away here, like a year and a half, but did Rabin just become an early front runner? And what are his chances right now, April 9th, 2021?
All right. Well, excellent question, Madam Mayor. Excellent question. I do not believe he's the front runner. I got a text yesterday from our good friend Jim Coogan. I hadn't seen this. Thank you, Jim, for sending me this. Your boy DB really wants the GOP nomination. DB, of course, being Darren Bailey. He filed a bill to eliminate FOID cars because why would we want even the scant firearm regulations that we have? So I believe DB is Darren Bailey is more of a front runner than Rabin. I actually think that among MAGA, Darren's their guy. He's been there every step of the way. If you're a MAGA person in the state of Illinois, Darren's your guy. And Rabin is late to the party. And so I don't think the amount of money he kicked in is enough to undercut the threat that a threat to Darren Bailey. But I will say this, young man.
Say it, please.
I'm going to say this. There's also the threat, the possibility that there's too many MAGA candidates in the race and to divide the MAGA vote. And that leaves things open for Adam Kinzinger. And I don't know if you saw this. I sent you this link that Adam Kinzinger, right before we went on the show, he had given a statement that he thinks Matt Gaetz, the congressman from Florida, who is a lunatic, ladies and gentlemen. David Ferris and I take the deep dive. And this guy is crazy, D. I don't know if you follow him at all. And Adam Kinzinger said he stepped down one more time. Adam Kinzinger is distancing himself from MAGA. And if he chooses to run, if there's so many MAGA candidates in the race, they could divide it. Kinzinger could get the nomination. I do not believe if it's like 101, Kinzinger versus Darren Bailey, he can win. I'm not even certain he could win if it's Darren Bailey and Rabin in the race. I think there's still too many MAGA people for him to win. But with your good friend Schemp or whatever his name is, another MAGA person comes in the race, don't overlook Kinzinger.
Oh, boy. And, with this news of Kinzinger, I just have to ask once again, hey, Kinzinger, are you smoking some of that legal reefer going on in Illinois? Sounded a lot like Bernie or something. What's going on here, my man?
Okay, he's definitely not sounding like Bernie on any other issue other than MAGA lunatics. He is definitely my beloved Bernie.
Wait, we have a quote from Adam Kinzinger. This just in. Breaking news, $27. Okay. I don't know, Ben. He's starting to sound a little like Bernie.
That is so inside. When I first met Dennis, by the way, people don't know this. Dennis keeps this secret. Huge Bernie Sanders supporter. And he used to go around and go, $37. You know, and I'd be like, D, do the Bernie thing again. No. We'd be sitting in that little, his studio back at the studio after every show, and he'd be chopping up the show, getting ready to drop it. I go, D, come on, man. I'd be eating my avocado and cheese sandwich. Do that imitation. I'm busy, okay? I'm very important. I'm producing this show. And then all of a sudden he go, okay, $37. Now, go back to that cheese sandwich.
Oh, we got another quote from Adam Kinzinger. He says, I smoke 10% of marijuana. That leaves 10% of me ready to go, which is 10. Okay, he's sounding a lot like Bernie. Talking about 10%, $27. $27.
By the way, I urge everybody to check out my column in this week's Reader. I take the deep dive on the difference between liberals and lefties. Washington Post apparently does not know the difference between a liberal and a lefty.
Oh, Adam Kinzinger's going to read it and take notes and fool everybody in a few months. So just watch.
Adam Kinzinger's not even a liberal. He's a conservative.
Give it time. Give it time.
Okay, next thing you know, Kinzinger goes, I love marijuana.
Well, I don't think would you say that this Rabin feller is okay? So Darren Bailey is for your just outlandish, flat out insane Republican supporters. Would you say that Rabin is for your maybe closeted city Republicans?
You know, see, that's what he's trying to have it both ways. D, you know, like he didn't do the heavy lifting of the Darren Baileys, who like led the charge for MAGA. So that, like, if you're looking for a quote unquote more moderate, then just that fact alone may make it more moderate. But if you listen, we talked about it last week, to that cockamamie, wimpy answer he gave to whether there was any justification to Donald Trump's claim about the election was stolen, you know, at the very least, he's too chicken to stand up to MAGA, where he goes, I don't know. I mean, you know, who am I to know? I'm not smart enough to know that. Remember, then he was like, but I'm a genius when it comes to paving companies. I made all this money. Elect me because I'm smart, but I'm not smart. So here you go. If it was up to me and you put a gun in my head and said, you got to vote for DB or GR. Oh, God. I don't know.
GR. Oh, Rabin. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what I just don't know what I would do. Actually, I was about to say I would vote for DB. I don't know, man. That's a tough one.
Oh, Frank on the live stream chat says, but Kinzinger said he isn't running for governor. Oh, Frank, he's got you hook, line, and sinker, bud.
Yeah, I know he said that. People say a lot of things. We talked about this in the interview with David Ferris about Joe Manchin, the West Virginia senator. You know, he says, I'm not going to be for the filibuster on any instance, but, you know, he leaves open. So, yes, Kinzinger said he's not going to run. He has no plans to run, I believe is what he said, which is, you know, tomorrow he could have a plan. So we'll see about Adam Kinzinger.
All right, so that's all the local news I got. Ben, is there anything that happened from the week that we didn't cover that you would like to riff on before it sails away from the news cycle?
No, I think we've exhausted about everything, and it was a great job. You did a great studio audience. Could you give a round of applause to Dr. D for doing a great job?
It's just me in my closet. But hey, guys, remember, you can download previous Ben Joravsky shows, Benny J bonus interviews, and so much more. ChicagoReader.com and wherever else you download podcasts. Over 900 episodes. Share today's show with your friends. It's a weekly review. That's what we do now here on the Ben Joravsky Show. Fridays, we do the week that was. You can send us an email, bennyjshow@gmail.com. You can always find us online at bennyjshow, BENNY, the letter J show. And you can leave us a voicemail. It's true. We have a phone number, 708-658-4788. The number again, 708-658-4788. Call the Ben Joravsky Show. We would love to hear from you. Check out the bonus interviews. Go get Ben's book, The Greatest Hits. Become a Ben head, chicagoreader.com/Joravsky. I think I'm done talking.
All right, good job as always. The man, the myth, the legend, the pride of joy of Alton, Illinois. The man they call the doctor. Give yourself a raise. Take it out of petty cash. Everybody have a great weekend. See you next week.
The enemy is you.